we're about to get started with the very first map, which is Tree Jump by Nadeo themselves. And the fastest lap from the previous step was made by Chalik with the 117.362. So the fastest lap, owner of the fastest lap from the previous step is indeed in here on this server, Chalik from Team Otterworld. Let's actually get a bit of a rundown on the players that we have, shall we? So we got the Australian Penguin Mutta finishing first on this server, making it through to the challenger. And there from Team B Genius, top 8 in the standings. Grenady from the Esport, maybe had a pretty bad step last time around. I think he admitted to himself is going to be trying to get himself back into shape. Legu is also in there, back from last week. MTP Esports, Hugo de Silva makes his first appearance in the Open Grand League this season. Miquatro, the Flying Finn, is also in there. Mika from formerly from Team Soon is in there as well. Dark from Otterworld is there. Default is in there as well. We got 3 Team Otterworld drivers with Chalik also joining them. Razi, formerly of Razi from Loud Esport, is in this match. Skandier is also in there, the Belgian. Super Carlo, the 2006 World Champion player for Team B Genius, is entered in this challenger match. Binks from Team Exalti is also in there, with Cap, the winner of last week's first step from KWK Esports, almost completing the lineup, with Link being the last player entered in this challenger match. So, Tree Jump by Nadeo is about to get underway. Map 1 out of 6. Here we go, boys. Step 2 underway right here, right now. As we're going to be heading back to the Helicam for the start of this race, and you can see there's this time Helicam is going to be a bit more relevant with only 16 players in this particular match, as opposed to around 50 in the qualifying stage. And you can see everybody remaining tightly grouped as we head into the second checkpoint. Chalik trying to make a breakaway from the rest, and making so really brilliantly, with Legu trying to catch back up, as does Binks, with Razi and Mutta also looking pretty strong. So far it is Default and Super Calif towards the tail end of the field right now at the exit of the first ice part, as we're heading into CP5 slowly but surely. Chalik trying to pull away from the rest of the pack. Razi 1.5 tenths behind. Ooh, Mutta touching a bit too much on the inside wall. Chalik getting overtaken left, right, and center. Legu and Dark emerging in the lead. Mutta currently at the tail end of the field as they head onto the bobsled. Chalik and Default with a really strong ice slide through there, not even bothering running up the wall. Chalik, Default, and Dark make it 1, 2, 3, 4 Team Otterworld at the moment, with Hugo de Silva battling it out for P4 with Miquatro and Mika right now as they cross the jump over the bump road, heading onto the identity for the first time in this step. So Chalik, Default, and Dark. Oh, and it seems as though Ener has made a huge mistake and bumped the tree, so he got yipped pretty hard right from the get-go. Meanwhile, Grenady crosses it through and moves up to P4, but he's got a really wide ice slide through there, allowing Cap to move through into 4th place and Mutta back up to 5th place. And so Chalik will move into 1st position with a 121.241. Default and Dark completing a 2 and 3 right now. Cap and Mutta 4th and 5th. Carl back up into P6. Grenady in 7th, with Link also emerging as a contender in the 8th position. Binks, his teammate, down in P9, with Ener in P10. Hugo 14 seconds down on the leader, he's in last place. Skandir as well. Some people, the gaps have already widened quite a bit as we check back with the Helicam. Miquatro and Mika also pretty much further than they were expecting to be. And Chalik currently pulling away from his own teammate. Dark getting overtaken by Cap for 3rd, but Chalik is around 8 tenths in front of Default in 1st position at the moment, with Cap trying to catch back up to Default. Chalik with the supreme ice slide, as does Default. Cap currently going for the wall ride strat at the at the bobsled part, but it doesn't really seem to pay off against the 2 Otterworld guys, who are keeping within each other, and Cap not even able to clear the jump. He's forced to take the slow way. He's down to P9. From P3 to P9 with just a single wall touch. Promoting Dark up, back up to P3, Carl up to P4, Mutta in P5. Oh, what happened to Carl? He's forced to respawn, and he's going to be down in P8. Thankfully, he did not lose the position to Cap, who's still just behind him. Chalik, Default, and Dark 1, 2, 3. Mutta in 4th, Grenady up into P5 right now, although he will take the tree surely, but he should be able to clear it, although very slowly with difficulty. He's down in P7 at the moment, and potentially down to P8 as Ener tries to scoop at him, but no, it's actually Razi who moves through into 7th position. 118.090, the fastest lap of this race right now for Chalik, who seems to be at his ease with this map. He showed it last week that he was a strong map with the fastest lap of the race, and he's showing to actually get himself ahead of the curve and pull away from the rest of the field with 1.1 second of a gap between himself and his teammate Default in second position, and Dark is a further second away from Default in third, and he's trying to fend up the attacks of Mutta, currently sitting in P4, but chopping up the bit, and Default misses up the ice slide, loses the ice slide, and so he will be overtaken by both Dark and Mutta. He gets demoted down to P4, and Mutta is up to P2 as he managed to get a more speedy exit than Dark at the exit of the ice rinks. But that has a cost, and the cost is a gap to first. 2.5 seconds of a gap between GGeek and Mutta in first and second. GGeek having a pretty safe buffer then to manage the gap and safely make it through to the finish at the end of the first map and score himself some juicy points. Potentially a full sweep if he manages to keep it up with the fastest lap of the race as well. And as I say that, he touches the tree. Thankfully, he manages to clear the jump by the jump pretty clearly, but he loses a ton of speed with the freewheel part, and so Default will overtake him into first place. GGeek down in second with Dark in third position, completing again the Dodger 1, 2, 3, and Mutta, who was looking so good, has messed up at the identity, and so he's down in P13 and even P14. 118.206, the lap from GGeek on lap 3, who was the fastest man arguably. But yeah, that small mistake was enough to cost him dearly, down from first to third, with Mutta currently sitting in P14, Cap back up to P5, and Carl up to P4 at the moment. Mika down 25 seconds on the leader, so they mustn't, Skandir and Mika shouldn't drop too much further down, otherwise there might be a bit of trouble for them to make it to the finish. Meanwhile, at the front, Default and GGeek first and second. GGeek trying to catch back up to his Belgian teammate, currently 8 tenths away from first position at the moment, but slowly but surely trying to eke out the gap to Default in front. Dark a further 8 tenths behind in third place, 1.6 seconds down on the leader. GGeek through the first jump with much more speed than Default as well, so he's looking pretty strong out there, and he will go for the non-booster line, allowing Default to remain in first place. But that ice slide is so supreme by GGeek with that line through there that he snatches the lead away from Default and barely misses the tree, but still emerges in the lead at the penultimate lap. Default down in P2, then Dark in P3. 1.8 seconds away from that battle for first, so he's going to do his own race and manage the gaps as much as he can to keep the 2006 World Champion Super Karlouf, of his real name Dorian Vallée, at bay. The BGeek driver currently sitting in P4, half a second down on Dark and 2.5 seconds down on the leader. Cap is a further 2 seconds down on the 2006 World Champion, so he's going to have a lot of work to do to actually catch back up to Carl in battle for P4, potentially a podium spot. Legu is in P6, a further 4 seconds down. Then we got NR in P7, and Grenady currently completing the top 8, trying to catch back up to NR, and currently trying to hold Miquatro at bay. Oh no, he gets a full stop pick as well! What happened to Grenady? He didn't go in too early, but yeah. It looked good for a P8 finish, but he drops 2 positions after a huge stop pick before the ice part right here. What happened to Grenady? I'm really curious to see what happened, but yeah, unfortunate for the German. Meanwhile, up front, GGeek and Default first and second. Default trying as much as he can to catch back up to GGeek, and trying to put him under pressure and force him to make a mistake to get the lead. Small drop of the ice slide, but not too much for Default, thankfully. GGeek takes the tree! He's not able to force the finish, he's forced to respawn, and the leader is down. Way down. He's down into P5 as a result of that due to the huge gaps that have developed, but still, from first to fifth is not what you want to see, especially not what you want to experience if you're a player. Default up into first place with Carl and Dark battling over second position. The junction has been made between the two players, and the 2006 World Champion wants this second position as much as he can to actually get himself some decent points on the board. We also got Cap in P4 trying to keeping tabs on that battle, unfolding for second position, and looking to see if a mistake will enable him to get a slice of the pie and get himself on the podium for the very first map. GGeek down in P5, 4 seconds down on Cap, but a further 4 seconds up from NR, battling with Legu at the moment for P6. Legu trying to overtake NR. It seems that he makes the move stick so far. Legu with a bit too much snow compared to NR gets overtaken by the BGeek driver before the bump road section. Back up to P6 goes NR. Meanwhile, at the front, Default crosses the identity. First section done. Second jump should be easy peasy for Default. He's got it under control, and then the final jump, and then the final turn, and the final jump coming up. Let's hope he doesn't get the tree bunk here. No, Default wins the race in first position. Carl manages to get second position with a mistake from Dark that allowed him to go through. Cap in P3. Celik P4 and Dark went from 2nd to 5th in the space of a few corners. Meanwhile, Legu finishes in P6 ahead of Mi4. Razi up into P8, and they're down to P9, who was looking so good. Link not making through the finish. Grenady up into P10, Muda 11th. Mika finishing in P12 ahead of Skandir, the Belgian, in P14. Actually, P14 for Skandir, P14 for Link, P13 for Skandir, P15 for Hugo, who should be able to make it. There's no 30-second time after top 8 for crosses of 9 for him fully, so P15 for Hugo and P16 for Binks at the end of this race. So, 20 points for Default, who takes the lead in the proceedings. 14 for Super Karloff in 2nd position, and 12 points equal for Cap and Celik. But Cap gets the 3rd place with that 3rd place finish on track. Celik getting 10 points for the 4th, 5th place, and the 2 extra points for the fastest lap. As we move on to map 2, which is going to be Sidewave by Link. So, Sidewave by Link. As I said, the 21.909 was the 121.909 was the fastest lap in the Trackmania Grand League, which was achieved last Sunday by Massa from Berlin International Gaming. In this Open Grand League version, it is 121.933 by Snow from Team Otterworld. Unfortunately, as I said earlier in the broadcast, Snow was not able to take part into Step 2 and thus declares forfeit as well, not only for this particular step, but also for the remainder of the season, as he reckons that he will not be able to catch back up from a missed step in this season of the Grand League and will not be able to reach combine regardless. So, Sidewave, first important section here. Free wheel, catch the reactor boost here, and make sure not to keep your car as flat on the ground as possible, and not to steer too much to avoid having wheels lifting off the ground and potentially send you in a turtle position and force you to respawn. Then you got this ice slide that followed the section shortly thereafter. It's pretty easy to throw your car into too much of an angle and lose the ice slide in the middle of the turn and actually rocket in towards the wall and force you to respawn if you get a pretty nasty turtle over. And then we get onto the identity with Cap right here on the warm-up. Through the trees they go. And onto this first U-turn on the road, then onto the ice, pitch your car in for an ice slide right here on the way down, then pitch the car the other way before you get to the dirt section to perform a dirt slide or a buck slide through there, then ice, then dirt for there, then onto the road with this ice patch where you have to straighten your car as much as possible to make it through, and this second ice patch again where you have to angle your car slightly but not too much to not lose too much speed at the exit and cross the start finish line to start another lap as we head on to map 2 right now. This is the second and final map of the opening phase, so here it is the final chance for people to actually earn vital step points without being demoted, without being punished for finishing in the bottom 8. So yeah, this is going to be all important for people to start racking up points really quickly here, and they're managing to get a really decent start and moving up in the lead in front of Skandir with Hugo de Salma in 3rd position. Currently it is Legu bringing up the rear of the field alongside Default and Muda with a pretty big gap between himself and the field. And yeah, Celik made a huge mistake already and he's down in last place. And Link as well, he's forced to respawn. Celik being forced to respawn as well, so 2 Frenchmen down, and Hugo with a really slow ice slide will be down in P14, 1.61 seconds down on the leader. Currently Super Karloff, Grenady, Muda and everybody else battling up for position. Carl making a mistake down into P6, and it's a 5-way fight for first position right now with Muda, Mi4, Default, Razi and Grenady at the moment, as well as Mika, who managed to get by Carl and move through to P6. Carl is down in P7 but trying to catch back up to the group as we get through the identity. First turn, then second turn, pitch the ice slide right here really quickly. Cap also emerging back into the mix, as does Dark. Nice grass slide turn for everyone else. Oh, Grenady pretty slow uphill on the ice there. And Mika will get himself into the lead in front of Muda in 2nd position and Default in P3 at the moment. Mika with a 125.754. Razi in P4, Mi4 P5, and Cap in P6 right now, battling it out with Mi4 for the benefit of 5th position, and Razi also getting caught up by those two, making this a battle for 4th place, with another 3-way fight for the lead between Muda, Default, and Mika. Mika battling up more directly for 2nd position, but Muda not too far away for these two to try and catch back up to him and get into the lead. As we head into the reactor boost section, Muda keeping the lead, lead ever so slightly onto the ice slide, pitch the car in. Will there be any ice slide, poor ice slide? Not among the leaders though, as Mika takes the lead from Muda heading into the flat ice part. with a gap of 2/10 between himself and the Australian, who touched a bit too much of the snow on this ice part and thus gets overtaken by Default and demoted down to P3. Razi is the next one in line to try and get a slice of the pie and get himself on the podium. Although it's going to be a pretty tough task to actually catch back up to the Australian Penguin right now. The Aussie looking to be pretty strong right now in this opening phase of the set. Razi missing the drift up and thus demoted down to P4 again. Miquacho trying to catch back up to Razi onto the dirt section. Looking pretty good with a really nice dirt slide for Miquacho, but that exit from the ice part was really poor. So he gets demoted down to P6 as he gets overtaken by Razi and Dark, who moves to P4. Default, the leader, has made him, Default, one of the leading duo, has made a mistake, and he's down in P6. Mika with a 121.884 in the lead at the moment. 0.8 of a second between himself and Mutta in second position, and then a further 1.4 seconds down we find Dark battling it out with Razi for third position at the moment. Miquacho a little bit a bit further down, 0.4 down in fact on this battle for third place, with Default in P6, Grenady in P7, completing the top 8 so far. Is Super Yellow battling it out fiercely with Grenady. Oh, that last slide from Grenady though is far from ideal. He's gonna fall down. Oh, barely manages to recover it, but he's gonna find himself down in 12th position as a result of that poor ice slide, and maybe even down in P13 as Hugo de Sauvaille is here trying to catch back up to the German and put a move on him for 12th position, and it has indeed happened for Hugo, who moves up into P12 thanks to that mistake from Grenady. Grenady down to P14 even as Link passes him. Chalik and Ener down in P15 and P16, not looking too good for the two Frenchmen. Meanwhile, at the front, Mika with a bit of a back boost here, back hit at the exit of the ice slide. Mutta trying to catch back up, but not able to actually have any answer to the pace of Mika. 0.8 of a second in front of the Australian, even a second now as we head on to the finish line. A lap 4 for the leaders, Mika, Mutta, and Razi. 1, 2, 3 at the moment with Dark in P4. 0.8 down on Razi. Default trying to catch back up to his teammate Dark for the benefit of 4th position. 122.394, the fastest lap on lap 3, and it was courtesy of Razi. Miquacho in P6 currently trying to pressure Default for the benefit of P5 at the moment, trying to get into the top 5. Carl in P7 following everything unfolding ahead of him and keeping tabs on the leading battles at the moment. Carl making sure that he sticks it to the wall. Ooh, a bit of a slide. He almost flew off the track onto the ice slide. He loses the ice slide midway through, recovers it, but that's still enough to do the damage and allow Cap to move through into 7th position. Carl down into P8 with Binks in P9. Meanwhile, Carl was able to recoup some of that advantage with a supreme ice slide compared to Cap, who touched too much of the snow and is down in P8. Carl in P7. Miquacho P6, but look at the battle. It seems as though Mika has made a mistake that I didn't catch on camera, allowing Mutta to inherit the lead with a buffer of 2.6 seconds. Now 2.5 seconds to Razi in second position. Default in third place, battling it out with Razi and Dark for the second place on the podium. Mika in down in P5, still in the mix for a top 2 fight, but ooh, that exit was really dodgy for Mika, and he gets the touch on the small ice patch, and so he's demoted down in P7. Nightmare lap for Mika, who plummets down the leaderboard. Carl up to P6, Miquacho up to P5, Razi up to P4, Default up into P3. Outer Worlds drivers currently looking second and third right now to try and compensate for Chalik not being able to make anything happen down in P15 right now. 15.8 seconds down on the leader. Meanwhile, Mutta has got a clear road ahead on the penultimate lap of this race to make it through to the lead at the moment. Our leader is looking pretty solid. Onto the ice we go, pitch the car in. Barely loses the ice slide, doesn't lose the ice slide at all, as a matter of fact, and moves through into the lead with a pretty comfortable cushion of 3.3 seconds to the to Default in second position right now. Sorry for the internet, guys. It's internet is playing a little bit havoc here, unfortunately. So yeah, we're just gonna have to deal with it at the moment. There we go, it's back. Dark and Default trading places. Corner after corner, second and third is assured right now for the Outer World, or is it? With Razi from Team Loud trying to pressure the two to try and make a mistake and try to snatch a podium place on the dot. Miquacho trying to catch back up to the top 2 fight at the moment, but it's not looking too good as Carl and Mika are jumping up the bit and trying to make some inroads on Miquacho's lead at the moment, with Mudda crossing the start-finish line to start the final lap in the lead, 3 seconds ahead of Dofalt. Razi up into P3 as he went past Dark, and Dofalt under pressure, and look at this top 3 fight. It's neck and neck, less than a tenth between second and fourth at the moment, looking pretty tight so far, with Carl up into P5, 2 seconds down on this battle for second positions. We're heading back to the heli cam. The gap's having widened quite a bit. Grandy down in P13, unfortunately. Mudda, you can see, heading into the reactor boost section, whilst Dofalt, Dark, and Razi are looking pretty good as well. Let's actually see if we can get back with our leader here, Mudda. Yes, Mudda is still in the lead. Dofalt in second position, 2.7 seconds down on the leader. Then Razi, 8 tenths down on Dofalt, trying to catch back up to the Belgian Team Auto World driver. Looking pretty good on the ice rink, but it's not enough to catch back up to the Belgian. Dark in P4 with Carl up into P5. Actually, Carl up to P4 as Dark made a mistake, and so the 2006 World Champion is looking pretty sharp. Meanwhile, Mudda onto the identity he goes for the 6th and final time in this step, and for the final time in the Open Grand League regular season at the very least. He can afford to save it. He doesn't have to risk it to try and get the fastest lap, although he might want to go for it if he wants the full 22 points. But it seems as though it is a pretty conservative drive for Mudda, who takes the win on map 2 for the Australian. 2.5 seconds down, Dofalt finishes in second place. Razi takes the final podium spot. Super Calif in P4, Dark in P5, Miquacho P6 ahead of Mika and Cap. Skandir down into P9. Binks in P10, Hugo de Sauvin, in P11, in front of Link in P12, Legu down in P13, Grenady down in P14, and Aaron in P15, in front of Chalik, finishing in last place. And so that is the end of the first 2 maps and the end of the opening phase here in this step. Mudda taking the 20 points for the win, and let's see, Dofalt still remaining in the lead with 34 points, 24 points equal for Mudda and Carl in second and third, 18 points equal for Razi, Dark, and Cap in 4th, 5th, and 6th, and we're heading into the first of the points loss phases. We're in stage 2, in which the bottom 8 of a particular map loses 50% of the points they've accumulated so far. And we're heading onto map 3 to open this semi-final phase, which is going to be Switchbridge by Firestorm. The fastest lap here in the Open Grand League was a 110.492 by Panda, who unfortunately did not make it to the Challenger phase this week. And that is only half a tenth away from the step 1 time that was set by Pack, a 110.488. So quick score recap right here. 34 points for Dofalt in first place, Mudda second with 24 points, Carl third with 24, then Dark fourth, Razi fifth, and Cap sixth with 18 points, 15 points for Miquacho in 7th, 8th and 9th, Mika and Tialik with 13 points, 10th for Legu with 11 points, 8 points for Grenady and Skandir in 11th and 12th, 7 points for Ener and Link in 13th and 14th, and 6 points for Hugo and Binks in 15th and 16th position. As we're heading into Switchbridge, we already highlighted the identity in the previous part of the qualification phase, where you had to be pretty precise on the timing of your jumps and make it through poles on the first 2 jumps, and make it through make it on the outside of the poles. See, first set of poles to clear, second set of poles to clear, get down the inside of this grass part, then make sure to keep your car flush on the landing till then outside of the poles, and then through the 2 goalposts at the exit of this dirt part, and final corner to cross the start-finish line to start a new lap on Switchbridge. As we're heading into map 3 already, this is going to be where we see some heartbreak potentially happen already for some of these players. Remember, there's 50% points loss on the board here if you finish in bottom 8. That is from 9th to 16th. Map 3, here we go. Be in the top 8 or you lose half of your points. Here we go. Back to the helicam we go for the start of map 3. No big mistakes so far in the first 15 seconds of the map. It has opened before that in the first 15 seconds we've seen some people having a bit of a fit, and unfortunately having made a huge mistake. Skandir with a pretty slow landing on that jump compared to the rest of the field is trailing by a little bit, half a tenth between himself and the gap to safety, which is P8. Remember, Grenady taking the lead from Dark, Legu, and Chalik in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, Ender in P5 alongside Link and Binks, Mudda and Cap in 9th and 10th, Mudda and Cap in 9th and 10th, and everybody remaining fairly grouped in the top 15 except for Skandir, who messed up a little bit, and Mika, with a pretty slow landing, will drop out of that field, so he's down in P16 even as he got overtaken by Skandir. Miquacho also making a few mistakes. The gap's starting to spread a little bit as we're heading into the identity for the first time from the perspective of Legu right now. Through the first set of poles, Mudda overtaking Legu for second position, Dark in the lead, Binks into third place right now. Onto the dirt part, make it stick on the inside. Binks and Mudda battling for second position through the 2 goalposts, and it's Dark who takes the fastest lap so far. 1:14.921 for Dark in first place, Binks in second place, Cap in third, Chalik fourth, Hugo, Legu, Link, and Grenady in the top 8. And they're currently being the first to lose half of his points. Dofalt is down in P12 at the moment. The Belgian, the leader of the standings with 34 points, is not looking too good right now after lap number 1 down in P12, although there's only half a second between himself and Carl, currently sitting in 8th place. And Miquacho and Grenady are looking to overtake the 2006 World Champion and try to make it through to the top 8 of their own, but only one can make it through to P8, not 2. So it will be interesting to see how that will develop. Mika then 2.61 seconds down on the leader, and no big mistakes so far, it must be said, from any of the runners. Razi has made a huge mistake, and as I say that, Binks is down in last place as he messed up the platform landing, so he's 4.6 seconds down on the 8th position, currently held by Miquacho. So plenty of mistakes also from Mudda. From some of the leaders. Mudda is down in P13, trying to catch back up to the top 8 at the moment. He's 8/10 behind the gap to safety. Grenady touching the pole, full stopping the pole, forcing him to respawn. Mika's passed, so he's down in P16 even as Binks passed him as well. Meanwhile, up front, Dark takes the cake and takes a 1:10.864 for the fastest lap. Legu has turned in too early and is forced to respawn, and so he's down in Mudda is in P10, so it's down in P10 for Legu. Mudda up into P8, Skandir down into P9 at the moment, battling it out with Mudda for P8 at the moment, and so it's a very different standings at the end of lap number 2. Dark, Link, Carl, Cap, Hugo, Miquacho, Dofalt, and Mudda, your top 8 at the moment, with Skandir trying to fight with Mudda for set top 8. The Belgian emerging into 8th position at the moment, relegating Mudda up down into P9. As we're seeing Dark and Link and Carl, 1, 2, 3, negotiating the platform jump, looking pretty good indeed on the landing. Maybe Carl being the best of them all with supreme speed through there, pretty much close to no airtime before the landing, and he takes the lead from Dark, entering into the dirt section and crossing the CP right here, heading into the identity, into the lead of lap number 3. Mudda is back up into P8 as Dofalt has made a huge mistake and is down into P9. He's battling up with Mudda and Skandir. Meanwhile, Miquacho has made a huge mistake. He's down into P6. Meanwhile, Carl down into P3 as he got overtaken by Link and Dark. Over the start-finish line they go. Let's see if there is another fastest lap on the line. 1:10.801 for Carl, who takes the fastest lap with that time. Fastest man on track, moves up to second ahead of Dark, but that ice hill is in favor of Dark, the someone who managed to conserve more momentum and moves back through into P2. As we're going to be heading back to the helicam, Mika and Grenady are looking to be pretty far behind, so they're looking to be out of contention to try and get into the top 8. And Binks are starting to lose their edge a little bit, same for Razi and Chalik. Meanwhile, Legu and Skandir are super close, especially Skandir, who's less than 3/10 down on Dofalt, currently in P8, so our points leader is still looking set to retain all of his points if he manages to keep that 8th place going. Skandir with a bit too much airtime compared to his compatriot will lose a bunch of time. And Carl has messed up the platform jump, and he's going to plummet down the standings to even last place. The 2006 World Champion looked so good at the exit of lap 3, and it all unraveled so quickly. Link and Dark are left to battle for first place. Cap has a second of a difference, but Dark has made a huge mistake into the pole, so Link has a buffer of 1 second to Cap in the second place, and he's going to take the time to manage that gap as much as he can as he starts the penultimate lap of this race in the lead. Cap in second position, Hugo de Salva for ATP Sport up into third place, Miquacho up into P4, Dofalt, Mudda, Legu, and Skandir completing your top 8 so far as we're heading into lap number 5, or we're going to be heading back into the helicam. 8.6 seconds for Super Carlo down on between himself and the gap for safety, which is currently held by Chalik, of all things. Chalik managing to make a bit of a recovery race here and fending off the attacks of Razi for 8th position at the moment, although I don't know how long this will last for these two. So Link looking pretty safe in the lead right now, and Cap has made a mistake. He's down into P6, leaving Hugo with the second place, and Hugo has messed up the platform jump, forced to go through the slow way, and he's down into P9. Chalik up into P8. Cap has made a mistake as well, and he's down into P9 as well. The overall ranking leader after step 1 is looking pretty rocky after that poor platform jump. Mi4Cho up into P2 then, Mota up into P3, albeit some 2.8 seconds down on Link at the moment, who is, heading towards the final lap of race 3 at the moment, looking in control of this race, 2.5 seconds ahead of Mi4Cho in second position, and Mi4Cho trying to fend off the attacks of Mota, who's trying to catch back up to him. Binks meanwhile taking the fastest lap with a 1:10.730. Binks currently sitting in P6, looking pretty good, and our points leader Dofald is sitting in P4 just behind Mota. So yeah, Dofald looking to keep his points and then some, as he would be set to score the points for 10th place at the moment by finishing in 4th position. Link, again, 2.5 seconds up on the leader. And Tialik, seems as though there might have been a game crash or there might have been a technical issue for Tialik, as he has a DNF to his name. He will end up on 7 points, unfortunately for him, as he will lose 50% of the points that he accumulated. 12th place right now for Carl, Cap in P9, and Marsdi has made a mistake and he's down in P11, so still looking pretty hot to who will remain in the top 8. Meanwhile, Link, heading into the Identity, will be able to cross the start-finish line, hopefully in 1st position, and get themselves the points for the win here. Mota up into P2 as we had a mistake from Binks. Binks made a mistake. Mi4Cho moving up into P2 as Mota made a mistake. Link wins the race in front of Mi4Cho and Mota. Dofalt in P4, Legu P5, Cap in P6, retaining it from Razi, and Eder crossing the line in P8, denying Hugo de Saint-Vin. Meanwhile, Skandiar's made a huge mistake. Mix in P10, Skandiar 11th, Carl in 12th, Grenady 13th, Mika in P14, and Dark down in P15. We'll be able to cross the Identity. 1 DNF to report. It might have been a technical glitch for Tialik, but yeah, game crash. We see it on the bottom left hand of the screen. Tialik had indeed a game crash, causing him a DNF, so he's going to be down on 7 points, unfortunately, as Dark is doing a little bit of BM and finishing him backwards, wasting everybody's time. Of course, I'm kind of joking here. But anyways, the points for Link here, 20 points for him. That is going to be really good after a pretty rocky start on the first stage. Meanwhile, Dofalt still remains in the lead with 44 points to his credit, 36 for Mota in second, 29 for Mi4Cho in third, 27 for Link in fourth, and 26 for Cap in P5. Razi, Legu, and Karl completing your top 8 as we move on to map number 4, which is going to be Halfpipe by Kisla. As we're edging closer and closer towards the end of this step, if you want more people, I'm doing a bit of shield here. If you want more people to see this, if you want to promote the stream a little bit and help me out, because sometimes I'm a bit too caught up to promote my stream and things, then don't hesitate to share the stream wherever you want. Discord, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Just the more the merrier. It's the golden rule. So, 4th map of this step, Tialik Kisla's Halfpipe with a 122.509, the fastest lap from step 1 by Grenady. Grenady not having a really good step at the moment, currently sitting in the second to last place with 7 points at the moment for the German right now. So Identity pretty much straightforward. Transfer jumps from right to left right here, and then this dip right here, which we're gonna see the players cross through. So again, this corner right here, the exit of this corner conditions the speed that you will have for this jump. Make sure you get at least 218 to 220 kilometers an hour to clear this first dip. Land early in the dip to get enough speed for the second jump, or if you have more speed than that, you don't need to land early in the dip. Make sure to keep as much speed as you can to clear the second jump, and then onto the end of the dirt part we go, with Mara currently leading the warm-up field at the moment. Then onto the uphill corner, and then teetering a little bit, and then transfer. Keep your line low, keep your car super straight and parallel to the quarter pipe. Make sure to not have it a little bit skewed, otherwise you might risk full stop picking into one of the quarter pipe's sides and not being forced to respawn, costing you a ton of time. Anyways, map 4 getting underway. Good luck, have fun, everyone. As we're going to be heading back into the helicam for the start of this map. I hope the game sound is loud enough for you guys. I'm trying to make do with the sound levels and whatnot that can be somewhat a little bit low. But yeah, After the start here, Scandia getting a little bit left behind by the pack already. Link and Tialik looking to try and make a break away from the field, but not able to make it so. As we had a huge stop pick into the tree for Hugo, who's going to be the first man to respawn. Meanwhile, Legu, Binks, and Carl 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Hugo 3 seconds down on the gap to safety, which is 8th position, remember. Scandia, the last of the leading pack at the moment, as we're going to be heading with the Belgium at the moment. Running with the Chinese skin. Everybody clearing the jump, but Scandia touching on the outside. That's going to allow Hugo to catch back up to him and put himself potentially into P15. As Chalik also made a mistake. Banks currently in P14. Let's see the dips. Second dip cleared, pretty much clean by everybody. Legu, Moda, Carl, and Dark. Your top 4 battle at the moment. With Grenady also looking pretty solid with Cap as well. Link and Razi completing the top 10. Default trying to catch back up to the top 10, trying to put a move on in there right now for the benefit of 11th position, of 10th position, as we head on to the identity for the first time. Looking pretty good. 1, 2. Some people having a bit of problems crossing the identity. That's Cap, who full stop picked it into the identity with a skew car and is down in last place. If I recall correctly, no, it's not. Yeah, it is last place as Scandia is passed. 126.944 for Mudda, who emerges in the lead after lap 1, but battling it out fiercely with Legu in second position. Carl in P3 makes it a 3-way fight for the lead. Default keeping close tabs on that battle with Razi, trying to get into the mix as well. Miquacho in P6, and he seems as though Razi made a huge mistake, or was it Legu? It is Legu who's made the mistake. He's down in P9 and even P12 as Hugo's past him. Currently Dark closing out the top 8, and he's got a pretty safe buffer for Mika. He's 1.4 seconds ahead of the player from La Réunion. And yeah. Oh, Grenady messed up the jump. He managed to land, so he's going to be able to keep going, but he finds himself still down in P11 and even P12 and P13 potentially, as Binks and Legu are going to try overtaking. Meanwhile, up front, Mudda and Default 1 and 2 at the moment, clearing the jump pretty much perfectly. Miquacho up into P3, Link and Carl in P4 and P5, Razi up into P6. Dark and Tialik completing the top 8 so far. The safe haven at the top 8 is completed by Tialik, who's trying to fend off the attacks of Mika, who's just up the road. You can see there, less than a 10th between 8th and 9th right now, so it's still looking pretty hot for that 8th spot at the moment. Dark with really high airtime here, really high line through there. Not ideal, not an ideal line for Mika either compared to Tialik. So Tialik is going to be safe in the 8th position at the moment. 123.138 for Miquacho, the fastest man on track, still in 3rd position. Mudda and Default in 1st and 2nd. Razi up into P4, Carl down into P5. Link, Dark, and Tialik completing your top 8 right now. Mika is now a 2nd down on Tialik, so Tialik has a bit of room to breathe right now. All 3 Auto World drivers are going to be are finding themselves in the top 8, which is still pretty good outlook for that structure. Mudda, Miquacho, and Default, you can see 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Cap down in 15th position, and there, who's made an even bigger mistake than some of these people, is 17.8 seconds down on the gap to safety, which is 8th position. So yeah, Mudda, Miquacho, Default, Carl moving up to P4 before the entry to the dirt section. Razi trying to catch back up to the 2006 World Champion, but it's not so easy to put a move like that with different lines. 225 for Carl in the first dip, second dip cleared pretty much perfectly. Miquacho with a really slow landing after he clipped the edge of the road. Miquacho finds himself down into P7. Still remains in the top 8 for now. Tialik a little bit further down the road, 2 seconds down on Miquacho in fact. Legu and Binks trying to catch back up to the Auto World driver to put him down into 9th position. Mudda, meanwhile, in the lead, into the identity, 2nd jump cleared, then to the 3rd jump he goes with Default, and 4th and final jump, he clears it pretty much perfectly as well, and crosses the start-finish line in the lead. In front of Default, Carl moving up to P3, Dark being demoted down to P5 after he made a mistake, Link up to P4, Razi 6, Tialik 7th, and Miquacho down to P8, who's after that pretty humongous mistake, and even further, he's down in 11th place, so he could be set to lose 14 points at the very least right now, if he doesn't manage to catch back up right now to the lead. Grenady taking the fastest step of the race. He did a 122.509 last time around. He did a 122.739 in this step so far, so still 1/10 away, or 2/10 away, should I say, from his own lap record. Grenady battling it out with Binks for the benefit of 8th position. Default and Carl trying to catch back up on Mudda, but the Australian is pulling away. 1.2 seconds of a gap between himself and Default in 2nd position. 218 at the landing at the first dip. He manages to clear it pretty much perfect at the 2nd dip. as do every one of his pursuers. Dark and Razi, that's the hottest battle right now in the top 8, inside the top 8 at the very least. With also Binks and Chalik not looking too shabby, with Chalik potentially under pressure from Grenady to be demoted down in 9th position. So Chalik is going to be having to be really careful, but he messes up the jump, the drift rather, and he gets demoted down to P9 before even the start of the identity. So it's not a good outlook for Chalik, even though he manages to keep up with Grenady in the identity, and at the start of lap 5, he still remains in contention for that 8th place. Meanwhile, Cap, our step leader, is our overall leader in the OGL standings, is down in P14. Now up to P13 as Lego made a mistake, but he's still 10.6 seconds down on the 8th place that is needed to save his card, his points, which is currently held by Grenady, currently trying to fend off the pressure from Chalik. Chalik 4th, 10th down on Grenady, but Grenady himself also trying to catch back up to Binks and Link with potentially a juicy 6th position up for grabs for the German right now. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how the German fares. Meanwhile, Default and Karl, the battle still rages on. Meanwhile, Mudda keeps on pulling away. He's 2.1 seconds ahead of Default in 2nd position. Default is battling it out with Super Kaluf, 221 for the exit of this first dip. 2nd dip, nicely done. Mudda is firmly in control. Karl has managed to make it stick on Default at the dips, and so he moves up into P2. The 2006 World Champion looking pretty good to score 14 points right now as we are about to enter the final lap. Default still looking good to retain the lead so far, if I'm not mistaken. 36.56, unless Mudda takes the fastest lap, he could still be in the lead of the step at the end of this map. So yeah, we're gonna have to see how this goes. Meanwhile, Mudda takes onto the finish line to the final lap of this race. Karl and Default in 2nd, 3rd, Dark in 4th, Razi in P5, Binks in P6, Grenady up into P7, Link down in P8, Chalik in P9, Miquacho back up into P10, trying to overtake Chalik for 9th position, as we're going to be heading back to the heli cam to see how the gaps have developed. You can see Cap down in P13 has just crossed the start finish line. Meanwhile, Enea in 15th place is into the identity, and so is Mika. So you can see the gaps are pretty wide open after some of the big mistakes right here. Mudda, Karl, and Default, you can see over overhead cam 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Dark in P4, Razi P5, Binks, Grenady, and Link completing your top 8 so far. Chalik is so close but so far from getting himself into the top 8 and keeping his 7 points alive, but yeah, still looking to be pretty hot on paper for the top 8 finishes. Look at this, 6 tenths between first and last. Meanwhile, Mudda crosses the dip for the final time. Ooh, really, that could have been a really costly jump if he clipped the end of that road right here. Meanwhile, Razi in P4 tries to catch back up to Default, Binks in P5, Dark in P6, Grenady and Link in 7th and 8th as we're heading into the identity for Mudda. 2 seconds up on Karl in 2nd position. First jump done, 2nd jump cleared, 3rd jump, picture perfect. And the final jump to cross the start finish line. There we go. Mudda wins this map. He wins on half pipe in front of Default after Karl made a huge mistake at the identity. Razi up to P3. Karl from 2nd to 4th in the space of a few corners. Dark in P5, Binks P6, Grenady 7th, and Chalik in P8 in the end. Miquacho P9, Link down into P10, Skandir 11th, Ugo in P12, Cap in P13, Legu down in P14. Then in P15, we're gonna find Ener, and in P16, we're gonna find Mika. Yeah, apparently Karl having had a pretty rocky time in the identity, losing 2 places on the spot, and Link, who was in the top 8 before that happened, has lost 50% of his points due to bugs in the space of 5 seconds. So yeah, he went from P8 to P10, and he will find himself with 14 points on the board, if I recall correctly. Yeah, so after that, Default still leads with 58 points, Mudda 2nd with 56 points, Razi in 3rd place with 37, 26 points for Karl in P4, Dark in P5 with 20. As we're going to be heading into the break, we're going to get a chance to actually take a look at the full standings. There you go. So after 4 maps with just the final stage left to go, Default is in the lead with 58 points, Mudda 2nd with 56, Razi 3rd with 37, 4th Super Kaluf with 26, 20 points for Miquacho in P5, and for Dark in P6, 19 points for Link in P7, 18 for Binks in P8, 16 for Cap and Grenady in 9th and 10th, Legu and Chalik both on 13 points in 11th and 12th, and they're in 13th place with 9 points. 8 points equal for 14th and 15th place Hugo de Saint-Van and Skandir, and Mika down in last place with 16 points. Down in last place with 6 points, sorry. Yeah, hoverboard by Tona, then I already presented the map. We're about to get started with the 5th map of this second step of the Open Grand League. Here we go, boys. As we're going to be heading back to the Helicam for the start of this race. And currently, Link getting the whole shot after the first checkpoint in front of Chalik and Legu at the moment, trying to catch back up to the Team France captain for the Tech World team, for the Tech World Championship team. Chalik moving into the lead in front of Hugo and Captain right now, as we're going to be heading back to the perspective of Dark, currently sitting in P4, battling it out with Binks at the moment for the benefit of P4. Link, no big mistakes so far. Mika getting himself a little bit left behind by the rest of the field, with around 8 tenths between first and last and safety. But as I say that, Mi Quattro touches a bit too much on the outside of the ice rink and thus is down in last position. Manages to make it through the jump, but yeah, pretty bad start for Mi Quattro's challenge right now, with Hugo inheriting the lead in front of Binks, Chalik and Dark after Link made a bit of a mistake. He's down in P10, but thankfully everybody still remaining fairly grouped together, as Grenady is at the last, at the tail end of the leading pack at the moment, as we're getting closer and closer to the identity here. Double drift for Grenady right here. It must be really tiring at the wheel, it must be said, to get those really tight hairpin turns like that. Meanwhile, towards the front, identity about to be crossed for Hugo, Binks and Dark. Let's actually see if there are any mistakes right here. And it seems as though no mistakes from the leading group, although Dark had a bit of a rocky landing. Meanwhile, let's actually see if we had any mistakes. Grenady still making it through. Dofalt and Dofalt having messed up the identity. He was among the lead group. He's down in last place, allowing Mi Quattro to move through. Mika 1 second down on the 8th place needed for safety. Skandir currently trailing the leading pack, and it's a really huge battle for top 8 right now. Link is at the... Ooh, as I say that, Link touches a bit too much of the pillars at the landing of the last Lego block, and so he's down in P14. Meanwhile, Grenady up into P10, Chalik up into P8 with Rossi. Ooh, who was respawn actually? Who did the respawn? Who did that? It was Dark. Dark, who was in the midst of the leading group, is down in 13th position, and the gaps are starting to widen slowly but surely in this leading pack at the moment. 1.6 seconds between first and 8th, but only 2 tenths between 8th and 9th at the moment. So yeah, it's just going to be really close to decide who will lose the points. And Dofalt, the step leader, is down in last place, 8.1 seconds down on the 8th place needed for safety, so we might see a lead change here after this particular map, with the mayhem caused by the identity car going maybe a bit too much towards the left. Will he hit any sign? He hits it but manages to keep it going, although that will cost him dearly. He's down into P8 as a result of that, and even Grenady passed him. And right now, Mudda 115.985 for the fastest lap of the race at the moment. Mudda currently sitting in 3rd place, trying to catch back up to the 2 Frenchmen leading this race, which are Binks and Hugo. Binks leading by 4 tenths in front of Hugo, but Cap is having a word about that with Mudda, and he takes 3rd place for less than a tenth of a second from the Australian. Razi in P5, Grenady P6, and Super Callo finishing in the top 8 at the moment. And then we see a pretty big gap between 8th and 9th at the moment. Carl has quite a bit of a buffer of a 2.1 seconds between himself and Mika in 9th position. Chalik, Dark, Link, Mi Quattro, Legu, Dofalt and Skandir follow at the moment. The 2 Belgian drivers not looking good at all, down in second to last and last place respectively. Dofalt has even more to lose than Skandir at this point, with 58 points on the board so far. He might be down in the depths of the leaderboard if he doesn't manage to get his act together, or if there isn't any mistakes happening on the behalf of the top drivers at the moment. Cap and Mudda again battling it out for P3, with Mudda having retaken the advantage before the identity. Meanwhile, Binks still leading by 6 tenths from Hugo heading into the hoverboard. Cap correcting maybe a bit too much. Oh, he manages to keep it together, but Mudda is going to be still heading into 3rd position. Capping Grenady and Razi battling it out for P5. Razi down in P6, and Aaron Carl completing the top 8. Carl currently 2.3 seconds down. 2.3 seconds up, sorry, on the on Mika in P9. Mika 2 seconds up on Chalik at the moment. All 3 Outer World drivers who started off this step so strongly are all down in the bottom 8. Oh, we had a big mistake from Razi, who had a hugely disfavorable respawn, so he was forced to actually double tap and respawn at a standstill, and he's down in 15th place. The amount of people that can keep up into the top 8 is lower and lower as Mika was looking to have it. He loops it in the bobsledding part, and he's down in P14 back again, even P15, as he got overtaken in last place, in fact, with Razi and Skandir having overtaken him. Meanwhile, Binks and Hugo still looking to control the race convincingly, especially Binks pulling the gap ever so slightly to Hugo. 7/10 now between Binks and Hugo in first and second. Meta still in third in front of Cap, Grenady, and Karl and Cialik now into the top 8. Cialik 1.5 seconds ahead of Legu right now, so still looking pretty safe for the moment. 5th lap engaged, and Karl getting the fastest lap on the start of lap number 5 with a 1:15.767. His teammate enters ahead of him in P5 at the moment, and just ahead of him are Grenady and Mata, so there's still a podium spot on the up for grabs for the 2006 World Champion at the moment, which is looking pretty solid. With that, he might be able to get himself up into second or even third position, but he almost threw all that away with that small clip on the at the edge of the dirt block, which would have been so costly for the world champion right here. Meanwhile, Mata, Grenady, and Ener are still battling fiercely for third position. Karl is just keeping tabs on that. Meanwhile, Cialik and Legu in P7 and P8. Miquacho is down. Link is down, and it seems as though we had another mistake from Cap this time around. He's down in P12. He could lose 16 points on the dot. That's not huge compared to Razi and Dofalt, who could lose 37 and 58 points respectively. Meanwhile, Binks is in first place and has inherited a gap of 1.9 seconds to Mata in second place, who's in battle with Grenady and Karl right now for second position, as Hugo's made a huge mistake. He's down in P6, still looking to score some decent points right now, but Binks, ooh, what was that? Is he gonna hit the side? No, he still manages to keep it together somehow. Meanwhile, Mata and Grenady are fighting over second place still over the identity. Karl getting a bit left behind, but still looking to secure some solid points with P4. Hugo down in P10, allowing Dark to move through up into P8 and into that safeguarding point spot, but he's in a battle with Miquacho right now. The Flying Finn trying to put one up on the Team Autoworld driver right now. Up the road is Legu, currently sitting in P7. Mata in third place, still in the threat from Grenady, who's overtaken him actually into the dirt section before the bobsleigh part. Let's actually see if Karl is able to overtake him. Let's actually see the speed differential at the exit. 323, 324, so pretty much even speed between Mata and Super Karloff, but Mata with a really wide line before the wall ride gets temporarily behind Karl, but with much more speed into the wall ride, will actually catch back up to the 2006 World Champion and put him back down to 4th. Or is he? He's kind of struggling now, Mata, isn't he? He's struggling to put one up on Karl, although he might be able to make it work towards the line. Meanwhile, Grenady is trying to fend off the challenge of these two for the second position at the moment. Meanwhile, Binks, 1.8 seconds up the road, is about to cross the identity for the final time in this step and in this race, and it's gonna be a win for Binks in front of Grenady. No, Mata has sniped Grenady. Grenady with a pretty poor landing at the final part of the identity is down from 2nd to 4th. Karl in 3rd, Grenady 4th, and they're in P5, Cialik P6, Legu 7th, Miquacho up into P8 for 100th of a second in front of Dark. Hugo in P10, Cap 11th, Dofalt down in P12, Link in 13th, Skandir 14th, 15th place for Razi, and Mika is getting closer and closer to Razi, as Razi is having trouble crossing the identity, but Razi will cross in P15 and P16 for Mika. So yeah, big points loss. Cap with 16 points, 20 points lost for Dark, 37 for Razi, but most importantly, minus 58 points for Dofalt, who plummets from 1st in the leaderboard all the way down to 12th in the leaderboard. Mata takes the lead with 70 points, 40 points for Karl in 2nd place, and Binks on 38 points is in 3rd place. Grenady and Miquacho on 26 points each are in 4th and 5th as we head onto the 6th and final map of this second step of the Open Grand League, which is going to be Starglide by Link. So, as we're heading onto the 6th and final map of this second step of the Open Grand League, we're going to be heading ourselves into Starglide by Link, the identity where we saw a huge battle between Massa and Pac on the actual Grand League, where Pac emerged the victor against the team Berlin, against the Berlin International Gaming Driver from Germany. And yeah, pretty interesting map with a pretty tricky identity that is pretty easy to mess up. So we're currently seeing the perspective of Mudda as we head onto the dirt right now. Keep a pretty smooth transition by going towards the outside, then pitch the car, nibble a little bit of the light sand, get a nice diagonal line, and smooth out the line at the exit. Then you need around 310 here, and he gets away with 306 with a really early line to clear the jump on Mudda. Then onto this one, you use the ramp to actually set your car up for the drift subsequence. Then onto the grass bar, then onto the freewheel, slow down a little bit, make sure to have around 120 to 135 kilometers an hour as we cross the CP before you regain control of the engine and then the identity. Throw the car in, use a bit of an ice slide if you're a little bit too far from the ring to get yourself back into the ring, and then use the thrusters to correct a little bit and to correct the angle of the car and get yourself a nice and smooth landing into the reset rings. You gotta pull that up 3 times with the 3 U-turns, and then this final section right here with the final jump to cross into the start-finish line right now. Start another lap. This is the final map of the step of this step of the Open Grand League Fall 2020 season. We're about to get underway, boys. Here we go. We're going to be heading back to the Helicam for the 6th and final time in this step, as we're going to be getting a little bit of a bird's eye view of the situation right here. You can see everybody fairly grouped at the start, but the gaps are going to spread out pretty soon here, I suspect, with the first mistake already from Binks, who goes for the pinball effect, and he is down already 1 second, 1 full second, I would say, to the 8th place needed for safety with the free wheel. Then onto the dirt they go. Was there any mistake in the dirt? It doesn't seem like it. Nope, everybody managing to make it through pretty clearly. 2.4 seconds down is Binks compared to 8th place 180. Down. Oh, what happened to Mudda? What just happened for him? He messed up the jump. He completely turned it too early, and so he finds himself down in P15 and even last place as Binks has overtaken him. And so the points leader, again, we find ourselves in a situation where the points leader could be at risk of losing his lead by a significant margin. Meanwhile, Hugo leading in front of Carl, Miquacho, Legu, Dark, and Link at the moment, with Dark, Default, and Cap heading into the identity in the top 8 right now. Let's actually see how the identity goes for these guys. Hugo looking pretty perfect. Cap having a pretty slow landing at the exit of that one. And Miquacho teams as though he touched the ring and he's forced to respawn. He's down in P13 after Skandir passed him. Meanwhile, Hugo and Carl are battling it out for first place. And Hugo will take the finish line. No, a bit too much of a slowdown in the dirt part. And so Carl takes the lead with a 119.660 for the 2006 World Champion. Hugo second, Link and Ener in third and fourth. Default, Cap, Tjelik, and Mika in P8 at the moment. Mudda back up into P9, half a second down on Tjelik at the very moment. We see, apparently we had lots of mistakes that we didn't see on camera. Grenady is down in P16. He's down in last place, 16 seconds down on P8, which is currently held by Mika. Meanwhile, Mudda is trying to fend off the attacks of Binks for P9, but also trying to catch back up to the top 8 train up front with Mudda, the next wagon that he needs to actually catch back up to get himself a chance of retaining his 70 points for the lead. Meanwhile, Carl looking pretty strong in first place right now, in front of Link and Ener, who are battling it out fiercely for second position right now with, let's see, Hugo is down in P6, Cap battling it out with Cap for P5. Heading on to the identity, Carl, let's actually see how he makes it. Second identity, bit of a, not as much of a nice slide as I was expecting, thus going really deep, almost touching the girder on the inside, or on the outside. That proved costly for Mudda on the qualifying stages, but yeah. Meanwhile, it seems as though we had a mistake from Mika, who is finding himself down in P13, and Mudda thus is up into P8 and into the safe zone. He's 1.4 seconds ahead of Legu, who's going to try to get back as soon as he can into contention for that top 8 and trying to demote Mudda into the depths of the leaderboard. Meanwhile, Dufal takes the fastest lap with 116.260 as he takes the lead from Super Carlouf, 2/10 of a second in favor of the Belgian right now as we head onto the dirt for another time. Nibble a little bit of the sand. Almost no speed loss whatsoever for that little line from Carl and Default right now. Turn in 4 to clear the jump for Carl right here, as we're seeing that Hugo is also coming back strong and getting himself in contention for third position at the moment and potentially second place if he manages to catch back up to all of these guys. So yeah, Default and Carl in the first and second Hugo 3rd, Link in 4th, Ener in 5th, Cap in P6, Ener and Link still battling over 4th position at the moment. Moda in P7 at the moment with Legu just up the road, but Legu is under pressure from Chalik for retaining that set 8th position. Moda currently crossing through the identity. Let's check the perspective of the Australian again. Looking pretty smooth so far. No big speed losses, and they're going down really quickly here. It seems as though he might have lost a bunch of speed from there. Yeah, he did indeed lose a bunch of speed, and he's down. He has actually messed up the identity. He was forced to respawn, so yeah, and they're down in P12 as a result of that mistake. And it seems as though we had a technical issue for Binks, who has straight up retired, or he might have had a bit of a game crash. So yeah, it is going to be no points for Binks in this state. Default in first place, Hugo in second position, who's managed to overtake Carl. Carl down in 3rd place, Cap in P4, Link in P5, Muda up into P6, then Chalik and Legu completing the top 8 so far with a gap of 2.4 seconds between Legu and Razi in P9 at the moment. So Chalik and Legu are going hard at each other right now, but they're still in the safe zone, well into the safe zone, as Default has managed to loop it as after a pretty dodgy landing. He's down into P8 and promotes Hugo into the lead with Carl up into 2nd place, 3/10 down on Hugo, but he's gonna try to put one up on the MTP Esport driver and try to take the lead from that race and at least get a map win on the board, even if that doesn't necessarily mean a step win, as Muda is currently looking safe in P5 unless a catastrophe happens from the Australian player. Meanwhile, Link has been forced to respawn after touching the ring at the reactor boost. He's forced himself into the ring as well. He's down into P12, so yeah, Link is out of it. Muda is promoted up to P4. Cap is up into P3 now. Lego and Chalik are well into the safe zone. Default in P7. Razi up into P8. And they're in P9. Miquacho could have 26 points lost in the ether. He doesn't manage to catch back up to Ener and Razi, but there's quite a bit of a road ahead for all these guys to catch back up to the top 8, as there is a 1.9 second deficit for Miquacho to Razi, currently holding 8th position. On to the penultimate lap then, with Hugo in the lead with a 1:16.197. He's holding the fastest up of the race and looking pretty solid at the moment. Carl in P2, 3/10 down on Hugo, then a further 8/10 down we find Cap in P3, trying to make a good recovery drive to score some decent points on the board. Muda in P4 is going to try to bring those points home and try to bring that step win home and get those juicy 10,000 points for the step win. Legu in P5, then Default, Chalik and Razi in the top 8 at the moment, and Razi still looking safe, although Ener is trying to catch back up to him, and the gap seems to have somewhat diminished to around 1.4 seconds now between Ener and Razi. It was around 1.6 last time we checked out. Towards the lead we go now between Hugo and Carl. It's going to be all or nothing for the 2006 World Champion if he is to take that victory, but Hugo had a pretty slow landing at the exit of the identity compared to Carl, so that's going to be enabling him to make that move as we're heading into the final lap of the race. Hugo still holds the lead, but Carl was the faster man. He dips into the 115s with a 115.938. Solid lap from Super Kaluf at the moment, who's going to try to make the move stick onto Hugo. He gets the whole shot at the CP, but doesn't manage to make it stick so far as CP3. Hugo retaining the lead. Meanwhile, Cap, 1.5 seconds down the road, is seeing the leader slipping away. Muda is in P4 and still looking to be making that safeguarding of the points. Default, Chalik, Razi, and Ener up into P8 as we had a mistake, it seems like, from one of the drivers. Mika is down in P14 at the moment, so yeah, it seems that there was a bit of an issue. No, it was Legu who was in the top 8, so yeah, Legu down in P10, 20 points on the line. Skandir's up next, up on the road for him, and then there's Ener further up the road. Meanwhile, Carl and Hugo battling it out oh so fiercely. Oh, that small slide from Hugo is going to cost him dearly. He has less speed, but Carl breaks a bit too much. He tries to safeguard it, so it's up to the identity in the final section to decide who will get the lead and the win here on Starglide. And it seems as though Carl has got a much better identity crossing than Hugo, who's trying to save it as much as he can. And Carl has sailed away into the lead with a gap of half a second to Hugo in second place. And he will take the map win on Starglide and get the 22 points for win and fastest lap unless someone else takes it. Carl wins in front of Hugo, Cap in third place, Muda in P4, Default in P5, Chalik P6, Razi 7th, Ener is down in P9 as Skandir overtaken for P8. Ener P9, Miquacho P10, Legu P11, Link in P12, Dark in P13, Mika in P14, and Grenady, 26 points lost for him in P16, and retirement from Binks, who loses 38 points on the spot. And so your step winner for this second step is Mutta, who wins with a grand total of 80 points in the standings. And yeah, 62 points for Carl in second, and 29 for Chelik in third, 19 for Hugo in fourth, and Cap takes a top 5 finish at the very least and gets himself some juicy league points, 94-65 exactly. Mutta takes the full 10,000 points for the win in front of Carl, Chelik, Hugo, Cap, Default, Razi, and Skandir, completing your top 8 for this step. So yeah, everything has been done, and here is the top 8 ranking after step 2. So Cap remains in the lead with 19,465 points in first place. Mutta takes up in the second position with 19,200 points. Chelik in P3 with 19,070 points. Then Carl into the top 4 with 18,530 points. 18,400 for Link in P5. 18,265 for both Dark and Legu. Dark in 6th, Legu in P7. And Eder completes the top 8 with 18,000 points.